Welcome, all you plus 2 comedy modifiers, back to Solving the Witness, a laid-back, for now, annotated Let's Play where we try to discover the deeper, underlying meanings of Jonathan Blow's The Witness. Now, we are deep in the mountain, but before we get to the Let's Play, I do want to address one quick comment. Pedro Paulo posted on our last video that, Noah, you are not under the windmill. Not yet. We will see what happens with that comment, but I just wanted to make it known. Pedro, I see you. We'll see what happens. Let's get to the Let's Play. Puzzle, because it's in one of those boxes. That's what I would say. And this is a face. Ooh. Ooh, this is interesting. This really feels like a server. Take it all in, man. They're not screens. I thought these were screens at first, but it's like there's something there. See that? I kind of want to just brighten my screen up to 1,000. I'll do that in editing, I guess. You know what this kind of reminds me of? I might be just because I'm wearing my Aperture shirt, but it kind of reminds me of like that fight sequence where all the turrets come out of the secret hideouts. You can only see this area with fresh eyes once. Yeah, it's definitely a box. Like, I'm sticking my head into something. This is so weird. These are not all screens. Alright. Yeah, but my first thought is one of those, like, big servers. This place is weird. So strange. Ooh. Just want to run around this area a little bit more before I leave. It's diamond shaped. This is probably like, it's shaped like a puzzle and a face, of course. Hello. So I don't want to pop up too much in regards to this area, the area that I'm going to call the area with the record player. I'm going to pop up a few more times in this video about it, but there's definitely a process of learning that I'm going to go through as player Noah. So I don't want to jump in too much to interrupt that at this time. There's definitely some stuff that we're going to get to later that I want to investigate more, but like I'm going to wait until that happens naturally. I do just want to say real quick about this spot is, if you're wondering why I make a trumpet noise for no reason, I think that this pillar looks like a face. Matter of fact, I think it kind of looks like Face from Nick Jr., which is why I make the trumpet noise. But I do think that there are kind of like face qualities here, and the way it's kind of forcing you to enter forces you to kind of look at it in a diamond way, which kind of creates the face with the break, and then the two big eyes of those big black holes. The black holes are very interesting, the way that they are set. We will come to realize later that they are in fact screens and not holes. Because if they were holes, you could see through them all the way to the other side, which you cannot do. I just think that it's interesting design-wise to have it set up this way. What I understand is basically it is a screen that is set back in that pillar. So that's why we have just like a lot of darkness, is we're looking at a screen that's kind of far away, so there's a bit of a 3D aspect there. And then it looks like we're just looking into darkness when we're looking into like a black screen that is a distance away. On top of that, I also want to say repeated assets again. In the comments of my last couple videos, there's been a really big debate about the footprints or the footstep noises versus the reused assets of the frames of the puzzles, which will come up again in this video. But I think it's a very interesting debate is that the footsteps need to be different because if they weren't, it would take you out of the game because it's the only thing that you're hearing the whole time. Yet, you're looking at all these panels and they all look identical. The pillars in this room are all identical. Like they have the exact same break in the panels or the pillar. They all have the same thing, the same mouth as I was calling it earlier. All of these are a reused asset. I really don't think that there's any meaning to that. I think that for gameplay reasons, if some of these pillars, the pillars of 4 screens, looked different, you would mislead the player in thinking that there is an environmental reason for what will happen in the future. I just want to bring that up now before all the madness happens with the record player runs. And I do want to say again that this does look very intentionally like a server room. That might be because I just watched War of the Worlds from Amazon with Ice Cube, which was terrible. But the way that the black lines go through kind of look like cables and things like that. We could potentially believe that everything is kind of running off this room, that this is kind of the center of the island and everything's kind of getting powered from this, because we could also argue like the water keeping everything kind of cooler and also producing energy and things like that that are all around here. This could be a server room. I don't have a reason it should be the server room. It's just something that this room invokes in me, and I think it's worth discussing. This hair, I can't control it.
But like, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to assume it's a perfect square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it's a 5 by 5 grid. So I'd imagine if I was either on top of this or under it, that it would look like a puzzle. I'm kind of looking for like a round thing. Or something that looks like a clear ending.
I am horrified watching this back because what I'm saying right now is so correct. I'm being so correct right now, and I know that player Noah is going to forget that he said this for a chunk of time. So I just want to point out how on the ball player Noah is in this moment, because he might be less on the ball in future moments.
Go. My casual game when I'm not streaming has become Horizon Zero Dawn. I keep trying to run like I'm playing Horizon. Yeah, that footstep sound. Alright, let's... Hello? I keep, like, I don't know why, but for some reason I feel like I'm about to encounter a person. Maybe it's just like Matrix. I think, like, I'm about to run into the architect. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Almost missed the puzzles. Gotta do my puzzles. Or not. These are brokens. How do they even do these? These all look impossible.
It is true. All of those puzzles, those 3 puzzles, are in fact impossible. for two reasons. One, based off of the symbols, locations, and the way that the rules of those puzzles work, there is no way to successfully get from the start to the finish while obeying all the rules of a puzzle. The second reason is that there's that big hole in the starting areas that makes it unclickable. So you can't access that puzzle, so it's also impossible. I know what these are. Now is not the appropriate time to bring it up. But I wanted to, let you rest assured that this will be a thing that we discuss a little later.
These all look impossible. No, these all look impossible. They are impossible. Yeah. Yeah. Impossible. Totally. Weird. Meant to be something. You are the outcast puzzles. But again, I'm going to point this out, because I point it out every time. Follows the same copy and paste of normal frame, slightly broken frame, normal frame. The next one would be missing a frame. You guys are all going to turn on eventually, right? And then it looks like you all power something back this way. Oh, ooh, looks like a face. Come on down. I did see, looks like there's more. Oh, there's even a bridge up there. All right, so there's more stuff that way. Everything is off. Oh no. When this turns on, this is going to be a sound puzzle because that speaker's there. I'm preemptively angry. What's the purpose of this area? Just so I notice that that's there. This is a weird, I feel like I'm too tall to be. I'm guessing when this turns on, it's going to be a glare puzzle. Which is just good design, because I'm forced to walk up here. And I'll probably see the glare. That's cool.
Just wanted to jump in and clarify what I meant by a glare puzzle. I'm thinking about the desert area where you use the sun to see something that's on the panel that you can only see with a certain lighting effect. This hair, that you can only see with a certain lighting effect. That's what I think is being set up in this moment. This is me trying to take stock and solve things before it starts. I'm very wrong here, but I just wanted you to know what I was talking about in this moment.
There's another puzzle here. Keeping my eyes looking for some sort of sound clip. You're not on either. Oh my gosh. Yeah, preemptively angry. Oh, there's one. Take me to the river. Environmental puzzles. It's another
this is a very interesting moment that I don't think I spend enough time really discussing. I solved this environmental puzzle. Now, what we know about the environmental puzzles is when you solve them, the glittery sparkles come out and make their way to their respective obelisk somewhere on the island. Which means there has to be a way for the glitter to escape and make it to its obelisk. Now, this should be a really big key point to the player in that it doesn't go behind me. Because I know that behind me is the area I just came from that leads outside to where the algae farm Tetris area is. The fact that I see it escape that way should tell me, oh, there's another exit to the outside that way. I, as a player, do not do enough work investigating this moment because the sparkles go through a small cavern that I can't walk through. There's like stalactites and stalagmites, and it kind of just zooms through it. I never try to find the exit to that, which I should have done. I should have been like, okay, what is the path here? My personal belief of what happens here is it goes through this and it actually escapes through the well that's in the city. The well area, which is actually above the theater. There's that well. I think that's where it's escaping, and it's going to that obelisk. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. But I wish in that moment that I spent the time to be like, where is it going through the cave?
Weird path that way. Alright, this is probably going to turn it on. Before I turn it on, I'm going to look around. Oh, really? Record players were going to originally be the audio clips? I think using the small recorders makes them a little bit harder to find. No way. Is this going to open right where I think it's going to open? I know I ignored the record player. I'll be back to that in a second. Oh, no. Look at this. Huh. All right, so this is very interesting. Ooh, how do I do? Is it this simple? 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. Yeah. Hey, Styles. You're here at a very exciting point. This didn't go where I thought it was going to go, but this is very exciting. I'm above the friggin' theater. Oh my god. How I've dreamt for this moment.
Alright, so I don't end up under the windmill. I kind of thought that this would end up under the windmill, but I just remembered it wrong. I'm slightly above the theater, but which is also under the windmill. So I am under the windmill in some sense. I'm just actually higher up than I'd usually be. But I had not gotten to the windmill yet. But I would like to bring up the theory that brings. This is a puzzle, way back in the other episode, that looks very similar to the puzzle that you use to get into the windmill, but you have to solve it a different way, because this is a different way to the windmill. I think I'm right. I think that proved me right. Or at least that the coincidence that I'm discussing makes sense.
I think the episode where I said, like, oh, eventually I want to go up there is on the YouTube, but... Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. This is clearly an environmental puzzle. Clearly. But based on what I'm seeing here, I have to be playing a video.
I just want to add a little bit to what Player Noah said here that I find particularly interesting about this. There's the vine that creates the environmental puzzle. It's also very clear that vine or garland or row of flowers, whatever you want to call it, lines up with something that will be playing on the screen, and that is how you solve it, because I've done other environmental puzzles that way. I also want to point out the way that this is built is that there are 4 kind of hanging, I don't know if those are meant to be speakers. I haven't been in the theater in a while. Or if that is like soundproofing that is there. But the one with the flowers on it is broken. There's a missing panel there just so this can happen, which I love the, something being broken intentionally to draw your eye and causing things to work. Like the fact that something being broken actually makes something work. Like there's just a little thing that you can't stop paying attention to because it's not where it's supposed to be. Know what I mean?
So a video is going to have to play, and then I'm going to have to come back here. Just so I can... Oh, man, this is insanity. Keeping my head out on a swivel here. Okay. Do I hear the windmill? Where am I? I don't know where I am right now. Open box. Give me prize. That's not the windmill. That's weird. How would I solve this? I'd have to come up 1, 2, 3, come back 1, 2, come over, and then I got it.
Hey! Look at me! Just missing an audio file completely. We'll be back for it. I just want to let you guys know right now, we will be back for that audio file a little bit later in this video. But there's a few things I want to talk about that are not about that audio file that I want to bring up now. So first off, I want to talk about the fact that I know what this puzzle is. Okay? I know that this puzzle relates back to the very first gate that you open in the Witness back in the tutorial area. I've never actually done it in gameplay, but I know that's what this is, and I know that that will open a thing and it'll lead me to an area that I've never explored. That will come. I know you've waited years for this, but it'll eventually come, but I do know what it is. I also want to point out the fact that the puzzle as displayed here has two solutions. Like, depending on whether you start on the left or on the right, you can solve this with two different lines, which I think is very interesting, especially since it is a puzzle that you could accidentally do on your first Let's Play. The fact that there are two options to be able to do it by accident, I find suspicious. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you make your biggest secret in the game something that could be stumbled upon accidentally? That's kind of unavoidable. But in multiple ways, that's really sus to me. I don't know what to do with that, but we've been talking about the fact that some puzzles have multiple correct answers a lot, and the fact that this puzzle is one of them really irks me a bit. And then finally, and I keep bringing this up, it bothers me to no end, the piece of paper with this information is clearly a photocopy. They clearly have that weird like grain on it because there is dirt or smoot or something on the clear piece of glass of a photocopier, which means that this was physically created. But we're talking now about how this is a simulation. So the idea of the simulation making it look like it was actually photocopied doesn't make a lot of sense. I think we need to kind of go back to the original idea here that maybe this is a simulation, but I think a lot of things in this world are still being physically constructed. Like, the photocopy part of this is such a weird detail, and they all have it. I think an idea that you can take from this is the fact that it's a photocopy means that you are not the first to discover this information. There is the original discovery of it, and now we are receiving a copy of that information. So I think it might be to express the idea that the journey we are on is not made for us and is something that somebody else has already done. Maybe. I'm not sure. But definitely the idea that this is a copy of information seems to be a very important message, that we are not receiving the original information. We are receiving it secondhand. And the idea of a photocopy is every time you photocopy something, you kind of lose some of the information from it. It gets a little blurrier and a little less clear. I think we could kind of take that with the information being given to us through the quotations. Like, what we are hearing in those audio files, and this is something that's being made more clear with having the actors kind of have those discussions, is we are hearing a philosopher or a poet or a politician or someone that is of very high regard in terms of like mental understanding. Their words, as they have written it in a book or some sort of way, now being read by someone else. And we are years away. So the idea that we are like moving further and further away from original intent, as the words that were spoken, then written, then spoken again by this person. It's kind of like a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. So maybe that's the idea, that like all the information you're receiving in this game is a few steps removed, and that's why there's kind of like a haze between it. Maybe. I understand this idea that I'm trying to express, and I have it written in my notes. Expressing it into the camera has turned out to be very difficult. But that's kind of my theory on the photocopy, is that the idea of expressing important information removed a few times makes it kind of obscure.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Weird. Where the frig am I? I'm going to guess this is going to get me back into... This takes me to the theater, right? Yes. Only watched one video? God, we have to do a whole Let's Watch Videos episode.
Yes, I still have to record that episode. I have not done the episode where I take all of the puzzles that I found behind those hidden doors, all those photocopies, and actually watch the videos that are displayed there. Apparently I've only done one. I thought I did more than that. But I do remember that one of the reasons why I stopped doing those is Twitch and YouTube kind of have a problem with those videos, because the Witness has paid for the rights to have those videos, but I can't play them on Twitch or on YouTube. So those videos are probably really important. I don't know how we're going to do the discussion on them, but eventually we will have a stream where we sit down and we watch all the videos. I might have to do it on like Patreon, which I don't want to do, but there will have to be some way that I go through them while also obscuring them slightly so that I don't get hit with copyrights. Sorry.
I'm not sure if I got them all. I'm not sure if I ever got the one on the beach. Okay. So if that's there, then... Okay, well, that's going to make the whole playing the video and then running there a lot easier. This way is to the windmill, right? Right? This is the windmill? Yes. I haven't done this in a while. Let's randomly stop the windmill and see if anything happens. What's that glare? This glare looks like pieces. I feel like I did this once already. Ooh, it's stopping very catacornerly. Oh, no, it's not. It's still going. It'll probably click right here. All right. Come back down. Okay, so this is the new way I opened. This is super weird. This way is new to me. Oh my god! Now I know where I am. Oh my god, I haven't thought about this area in so long. I did this one. Yeah, I got that one. Okay.
Just want to shout out the game design here. This is not an area I thought about very often after leaving this, but it is quite a journey to go from that kind of zaggurat that's in the desert to all this way down to activate this laser, to then take an elevator back up. If you don't jump off the elevator, it's a long journey back down to find this environmental puzzle. So to have this door be right here so you can look up and get that environmental puzzle like quickly, I think is great game design. So I just wanted to shout that out. Thumbs up.
I will look. It seems so much brighter in here now. I didn't turn lights on as I was solving it, so it might legitimately be. That's so crazy. Was there an audio tape at the strange paper solution? All right, we'll do a quick, like... Yes, there certainly was. Oh, and it's an orange one, which is important because vitamin C.
I thought my voyage had come to its end, at the last limit of my power. That the path before me was closed, the provisions exhausted, and the time come to take shelter in silent obscurity. But I find that thy will knows no end in me, and when words die out on the tongue, new melodies break forth from the heart. And where old tracks are lost, new country is revealed with its wonders.
Okay, very interesting. So this so applies to your situation in the game. I definitely felt that. Because, like, people must have thought Endgame happened a while ago. And for you to still be going is very interesting. The whole obscurity thing is very interesting to me personally, since I'm streaming it for witnesses. That I'm still, going. But, like, there's still very much a lot to do. Like, there's still plenty of environmental puzzles, which, do I see one? No. Okay. I'm going to listen to it again, because I find it very strange. They don't quote anybody. And the only other one that I can think of that they don't quote is the one that's sitting on top of the house, which I felt was very much about the creator of the game.
I thought my voyage had come to its end, at the last limit of my power. That the path before me was closed, the provisions exhausted, and the time come to take shelter in silent obscurity. But I find that thy will knows no end in me, and when words die out on the tongue, new melodies break forth from the heart. And where old tracks are lost, new country is revealed with its wonders.
This just ends with me going to another island that has even more puzzles. You've discovered the new country. There's just DLC.
Okay, lots to talk about here. So this is a very interesting quotation, and we got to spend some time just breaking down some of the theories that I have about this particular audio clip. So the first thing I want to shout out is the words, "And where the old tracks are lost, new country is revealed with its wonders." Now, let's take that very literally. And the idea of the tracks being those like railroad tracks that I see when I get into this area. There's kind of this like minecart track that leads to a cave that appears to have caved in. It's like it's covered in like boulders. So we could take this very literally and say that the old tracks are lost. That used to be the way, but it is lost due to cave-in. And now we have this new area that we have to explore. We could take it a step further and be like, that was the original way in. That was how you got to the island. This is how you entered the simulation. And then there is talk that the simulation is kind of hard to leave. This could be the exit, and it has been lost. And now we have to find a new way to get out, because the old track, the old path, the roller coaster or whatever, has been sealed off by a cave-in. That is a way to interpret this. The other way to interpret this is, and where the old tracks lost could be your tracks, like your footsteps. You know, we talk about footsteps a lot here. They make a lot of noise, but you don't leave any behind. Like even when you're walking in sand and kind of snow, you don't actually leave an impression on anywhere that you go. So this could mean that like the path you walked, the actions that you did are lost, but there is a new country here. This could actually be a reference to the first ending, the Wonka ending, where any track of what you've done, any progress that you've made in the game gets reset when you get in the Wonka Vader and fly around. If I can get a little blueprints about this, another interpretation of tracks could be audio tracks, like the tracks of a CD, or the various audio tracks in the game. And they are definitely old tracks. They are old words being put here. And the particular wording of "and where old tracks are lost," we've discussed in countless videos that a lot of the audio clips are actually incomplete. Like, some of them are excerpts, so like, you know, there's an entire book. But we've also caught a few audio clips where sentences in the middle are removed. And we could believe that they are removed because it helps with the overall impact of the quote that they are trying to include. We could also take it now that what is being lost of those old tracks are what's important. Perhaps we should revisit the audio tracks and figure out what has been lost, what has been removed. And perhaps together they make some sort of bigger message. This is something I do want to actually attempt to do and look into. I'm not going to do it now because I don't think it fits right now in the Let's Play. But as a concept, I think that's very interesting. The idea of the old tracks being the audio tracks that you hear throughout there. I think that could be wonders. And the idea that information will lead to a new country and reveal its wonders kind of could imply, hey, there's one last thing to find, and this is how you find it. That is another way you could take this. It was written in a poem by, and I am going to mispronounce this, Rabindranath Tagore. He was a poet and a philosopher. I did a little bit of research on him. I didn't find a lot of interesting things, but he believed in universal humanism. This is the idea that humanity's goal is to recognize the divine in all human beings, emphasize the connection over artificial divisions between like race and religion, and answer basically the idea that we ourselves are connected and universal together. I don't think that this quote really fits with the 6 ideals of the witness. Now, this is something that Draken has brought up many times. Draken wrote a great post on Reddit about this. But basically the idea that there are 6 universal themes of the witness. Those are dualism, finding truth through logic and reason. Everything makes sense, basically. The idea of relativism, multiple things can be true at the same time. The idea that, like, based on your perspective, some things are true in this scenario, but not this. Multiple things can be true at the same time. 3, faith, belief, trust that just in doing through the journey that you will find what you want to find. That is how you find truth. 4, fatalism. Searching for truth can destroy you. So maybe, don't as much. 5 is non-dualism. Your perceptions are blinding you from the truth. So basically the idea of removing yourself from the equation, that you have to lose your own prejudices and things like that in order to understand things. Maybe this quote can lead into that because of the universal human, because we're all connected by creed and, lose your religion and stuff like that. But I'm going to get to another thing. But it is possible that this would fall into that idea. And finally, acceptance. Stop looking for truth. Take some distance. Basically understand that you're not going to ever know. My idea of this humanism thing, and this idea of, like, the tracks that you've taken, the progress you made, the journey that you have made, kind of has this 7th idea to me. Because there are 6 videos in the theater that are found in these boxes. When you open these boxes up, you get the honeycomb puzzles, and the honeycomb puzzles lead to videos in the theater. This one doesn't. This is a 7th box that is used in a different way from everything else. Almost like this is an ideal removed from the 6 ideals of the witness. I kind of want to take the interpretation that maybe the idea here is whatever you think the truth is correct. Basically, the way that you can understand the witness is, as a game, you will experience lots of things that are very personal to you because you're the one experiencing them. You're going through this process. You're overcoming the puzzles. You're finding things in the background when you look through things that you had not seen before. You're finding the environmental puzzles and things like that. This is your experience. And the interpretation that you gain from that experience is correct because it's your experience. The idea that there is a universal truth to this is incorrect. You are the one witnessing everything. And your eyewitness testimony of the meaning of this game is correct because it's the meaning that you drew from it. And this requires a bit of a different line of thinking. It's removed from the honeycomb area. You don't use it that way. You use it a different way because it's your path. Really like that interpretation. The idea of this being like a different box from everything else that removes all those other ideas. The ideas that are being fed to you and relies purely of you being removed from them and just relying on your own experience. I think it's kind of nice, and I think that's a great interpretation of this game. I almost feel like this should be the end of the episode, or even the end of the series, because that's a nice way to wrap things up, but I still have things to say about this clip, so let me finish up. I should organize things better. Because I have to talk about the fact that the clip is orange. So, now getting back to mechanics, some of the audio clips are on orange recorders. And I took this to mean that the orange ones are the ones that have the dialogue between the actors discussing things. Because I believe the ones that we've found in the underground area, they've been orange. And then the weird one that I found on the dock where the person goes, "What?" That one I believe was orange. I probably should have looked that up. This one being orange, I kept waiting for that moment where they start discussing things about the island and the process. But that never comes. On top of that, they don't even quote the author. Like, all of these end with who said it and when. And that's not there. You know, part of the old track is lost, if you will. But I find it very strange. So I don't think I understand why some are orange. And that's just something that I need to really dig deep into. We also have some discussion that this is the heart of the island, which I think is very interesting. I'd love to actually take some time and map this out, map this area out, because there could be like the different ventricles coming out, and this could literally look like a heart. But the idea of this being the center of the island and the heart of the island, I think, is nice. And there is mention of a heart in the quote. The new melodies break forth from the heart. And if you know anything about that really difficult area we're going to get to, we're going to start a record player, which plays, music. So that's another interesting interpretation of this. I think that's everything I wanted to say. Yeah. Let's get back to it.
All right, let's go back. To me, yeah, please, but this is meant to be a discussion. I like the passage about a new melody. To me, this is somehow the heart of the island. I also got that feeling. I almost said that out loud, that I was like, oh, this is the heart. But I was only thinking that because I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I 100% thought this was going to lead back to the blue area of, which it still might because I didn't go this way, of the inside the mountain.
So this turned out longer than I thought, and we're going to actually have to break here. But thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Solving the Witness. We got a lot of takeaways to talk about here. I might actually not put up another episode for 2 weeks just to give people a chance to respond to this video, because we have a lot to talk about. I'd like to get it up weekly, but, we'll see how quickly people respond to this. First, the server room. Does the idea that this is a server make sense to anybody, or is that just me seeing things that are not there? The impossible puzzles, leave that for later. We'll talk about those in a little bit. The sparkles escaping through the well and that weird cave path that it takes. We need an episode of Boundary Break on the Witness like 5 years ago. But I just find that path very interesting. I believe they go out through the well, but can you see the other end of that path, path that the sparkles take? And I missed it? Let me know in the comments down below. The bit of the broken bit that's hanging above the theater. I think that's cool. If you have anything to add, let me know. The fact that the gate puzzle thing that I found is, one, a photocopy. What's the deal with that? and 2 has multiple solutions. What are your thoughts on that? I find the multiple solution thing very concerning, and the photocopy thing infuriating. And the videos, how are we going to watch those? Let me know, because we need to figure that out. How would you like me to watch the videos of the windmill? Because I don't think I can do it on Twitch. I think we'll get strikes or whatever. And then finally, that last audio clip that we listened to. Why is it orange? Why don't we hear quotes, like of who said it? Why is that information missing? Is it insane to think that we should look through all the quotes for missing things, the missing tracks, or what's missing of the old tracks? The idea that it's referring to actual tracks that have been caved in. What are your thoughts on that? And the idea that this is kind of a tale to the player of, like, whatever your interpretation is correct. Like, ignore all the information you've been given. The 7th principle of the witness in the 7th box that you found is whatever interpretation you have discovered on this journey is correct because it is your journey. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about any of these things so I can tie it to the front of next video. And if you want to make sure you see next video, be sure you subscribe right here to +2 Comedy Gaming, and you can catch up on all my past live streams. And I will see you all next time we try to solve the Witness